Hi, this is Bug Baskin with whatisdisciple.com, and if you're watching this video, I'm going to trust that you have first watched the video about the gospel and what it is and the importance of receiving and believing it first. And if you haven't, I encourage you to stop. Go watch that one. This one's not going anywhere. But if you have, and you believed and you received that, here's what you've got to realize is that it doesn't stop there. Now we have to take the gospel and go share with others. That's a big part of being a disciple, is evangelism and sharing the gospel. And the problem is that less than 50% of all people who claim to be Christians actually go out and share their faith. This is a major issue. Because of that, the current generation, if we continue at the current pace, less than 4% of them are going to follow Christ. It's a big issue. And so we have to stand up and realize that sharing the gospel is not a job just for a few. It's not a job for paid ministers. It's a job for all of us who claim to be disciples, who claim to be followers of Christ. Now, I know it can be kind of scary, and some people get nervous. They're like, well, I've never been trained. I don't know what to do. Well, that's why we want to do some training on, what's this look like? What's some options for sharing the gospel? And the first one I want to look at is very simple, and it's basically the basis of what all evangelism is, and that's your story. Your story is the perfect way to share the gospel. It's about you sitting there, having a conversation with someone, hopefully having a relationship with them. They realize and see how you live, and they realize something is different than you, and they want to know what it is. And you just tell them your story. You tell them about how your life was before you knew Jesus, how you realized you need a Savior, and how we're all in the same boat. And you explain what God has done for you. That's a perfect way to share the gospel. It's just by telling them your story, because that's what's going to connect with people. That's what's going to draw people in to want to receive salvation, is your story of understanding what God's done for you and receiving that, and them realizing they can have the same thing. So I want to encourage you to do something today. This is a huge part of discipleship. I want you to sit down and write your story. Think about your life before Christ. Write down about how you came to know Christ, what happened once you understood, and then now what has changed, what is different in your life. And that's huge. We need to do that, and you need to know that and memorize that story, and you need to share it with others. Other people need to hear this incredible gift we've been given is not just for ourselves. So I encourage you now, stop, do nothing else, get some pen and paper out. If you want to, type it up, type it on your phone, but write down your story of what God has done for you and how He's changed your life through Jesus, through you receiving and believing the gospel and receiving salvation.